We're on the 2-note away major second. So 2-note away major second. This is the one that you would think in the main minor, the Aeolian mode would be a 1-note away flat second, but no, it's not. It's actually the same interval as the major scale. You can almost think of it as though it was like an honorary perfect, because to me, the perfects, they didn't define it this way on purpose. They thought the perfects were like a perfect interval or whatever, but it worked out well because the majors and the minors have the same perfects, which might have led to their thinking, I don't know. But the second on the minor also is kind of like the honorary perfect because it's the same on the major and the minor. It's not the same on all the minors. It's not the same on the Phrygian, which is more minor than the main minor scale. The Aeolian, it's more minor than the Aeolian or main minor. But on the main minor scale, the Aeolian, it's still a 2-note away major second. Okay, so we're going to be doing that from here. Now note if I do a chord, this two represents the 2 or second position. This 2 represents the number of notes away from the root, the A here, 2 notes away. Now, because we're on the second position, we skip it from a chord construction perspective because we go from 1 to 3 to 5 to 7, which is the last note in the musical alphabet, and then to 9. Therefore, the 9 is equivalent to the 2. So we can name this 2 different ways. We can call it a 2-note away major second. I'm not taking into account octaves. I'm just saying from a pitch standpoint, as though we're looking at a circle, 2-note away major second or 2-note away major 9. Okay, so if I go above it, then I'm going to go above it. I'm looking for a B up top here. We start off with this one. And notice if it's 2 notes away and I go above it, I have to take the inverse distance. So there's only 12 notes in the musical alphabet, so 12 minus 2 is 10. So if I go above it, I'm looking for a distance of 10. So I'm not crossing the fault line yet, so it's just going to be 5 to go right above it. So I'm going to call it -5, -6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So let's count it out here from this A. We're going to say -5, -6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So from the B to the A, that would be a 10-note away, which would be a major, a minor 7. So note that the inverse of a major is a minor, the inverse of a minor is a major, and therefore measuring from bottom to top, A to B, it's going to be a 2-note away, which will be a major second. Okay? So that means that if I go up 1 string, the 2-note away major second will be 5 frets back, unless I cross the fault line, which would happen if I started on the B string. So if I was on the B string and I went to this A, and I went up from there crossing the fault line, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frets back, which means it would also be 6 frets forward, which might be easier to reach in that case. So the rule is, if I go up 1 string, the 2-note away major second, which could also be called the 2-note away major 9, will be 5 frets back unless I cross the fault line, in which case if I go up 2 strings and if I go up 1 string and cross the fault line, the 2-note away major second, which could also be called the 2-note away major 9, will be 6 frets back, which means it's also 6 frets forward, which might be a little bit easier to reach. Why is that? Because this, if I think from the perspective of where I start from, that's my new convention. I'm always going to think from the perspective that I'm starting from as though it's stationary. So when I think about the fault line, if I'm starting from here, instead of thinking this fault line shifts to the right, I'm going to say, no, the big continent is the one that shifted to the left. So from the perspective of this position, this continent shifted to the left. And so I'm crossing the fault line, which means that it actually extended the distance between where I'm at and where I'm going to. Okay, makes perfect sense. Let's go up another string. Let's go up to here. So now we're going to go up 2 strings and cross the fault line. So we're looking for a distance of a 2-note away major second, which could also be called a 2-note away major 9. So that means that we have to take the inverse distance. 12 minus 2 is a distance of 10. If I start here and go above it, that's going to be a distance of 5. And then because this fault line shifted to the left, we have to go diagonally this way to get to 10. I'm not going to go straight up because I'd have to count to 4 to get to 9. I don't want to get to 9 because I want to count in 5. So therefore I go this way and I get to the 10. So there it is. So I'm going to be from here, I'm going to say -5. And then because this continent shifted to the left, I'm going to say -10 this way. So from here to here. So if I went from B to A, it would be a 10 note away minor 7 from A to B. Therefore, it would be a 2 note away major second. So that means if I go up 2 strings and cross the fault line, the 2 note away major second, which could also be called the 2 note away major 9, will be 1 fret back. But I wouldn't cross the fault line if I started on either the G or the D string. So for example, if I was on this one and I went up 2 strings, it would be back here. So the general rule is, if I go up 2 strings, the 2 note away major second, which could also be called the 2 note away major 9, will be 2 frets back unless I cross the fault line, which would happen if I start on either the bottom 2 strings, the bottom B or E string, in which case if I go up 2 strings and cross the fault line, the 2 note away major second, which could also be called the 2 note away major 9, will be 1 fret back. All right, let's go up another one. So let's go up to this one. And so now we're going to go up 3 strings and cross the fault line. So I'm looking for a 2 note away major second, which could also be called a 2 note away major 9. I'm going above it, therefore I take the inverse distance, which is 12 minus 2, or a distance of 10. I can go 5 distance above it, and then I cross the fault line. This continent shifted to the left, and therefore I'm going to say 10 goes this way. And then 15 is up to here. There's only 12 notes in the musical alphabet, so let's bring that 15 minus 12 is 3. I'm going to call it a -3. 2, 1, 0, or octave. You can also say it's 12 around the horn. 12, 11, and 10. Let's count it this way. And so I'm going to say, all right, if I'm here, it's going to say 5. And then because this shifted back, it's going to be 10. And then it's going to be 15. And then 15 minus 12 is going to be -3. -3, 2, 1, or octave, which I can say is 12. 12, 11, 10. So from here to open, wait a second. I went the wrong way. Let me do it again. Sorry about that. I got out of whack here. So it's going to be -5, and then this continent shifted to the left, so -10. So it's going to be -10, and then I go up. The next one is -15. 15 minus 12 is going to be -3. -3, 2, 1, 0, 0, or 12, and then 12, 11, 10. Did I get that right? That's a B. I think that's right. Okay. So if I go from that B to A, that's going to be then a 2 note away major second. If I go to, B to A is going to be a 10 note away minor 7, and therefore from the bottom to the top, measuring from the A, would be the inverse distance, would be a 2 note away major second, or a 2 note away major 9. So that means that if I go up 3 strings and cross the fault line, the 2 note away major second, which could also be called the 2 note away major 9, will be 1, 2, 3, 4 frets forward. I wouldn't cross the fault line if I started on this G string, like here, for example. And if I go up 3 strings, then I would be out here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 forward. So the general rule is, if I go up 3 strings, the 2 note away major second, which could also be called the 2 note away major 9, will be 5 frets forward unless I cross the fault line, which would happen 2 out of 3 times that I could go up 3 strings on the bottom B and E string, in which case if I go up 3 strings and cross the fault line, the 2 note away major second, which could also be called the 2 note away major 9, will be 1, 2, 3, 4 frets forward. All right, 2 more, and then we have to stop. So enjoy these last 2. Really take it in. Here we go to the next one. We're going to go up 4 strings and cross the fault line. So we're looking for the 2 note away major second, which could also be called the 2 note away major 9. So we have to take the inverse distance, which is 12 minus 2, or 10. So I'm going to go up 1. It's going to be 5 distance here, cross the fault line, because this tectonic plate shifted to the left. It's going to be 10 out here. Then 15, there's only 12 notes in the musical alphabet. 15 minus 12 is 3. -3 plus another 5 is 8. And then -8, -9, -10. All right, let's see if I can count this way without getting out of whack again. -5, this tectonic plate shifted to the right, so we're going to say 10, and then 15. 15 minus 12 is going to be -3, plus another 5 is going to be then the -8, -8, -9, -10. All right, so if I went from this B to that A, that would be a 10 note away minor 7, and therefore from the A to the B would be the inverse distance of a 2 note away major second, and that means that if I go up 4 strings, I'm always going to cross the fault line, because I can't go up 4 strings without crossing the fault line unless I'm thinking about going around the top of the guitar. And so the 2 note away major second, which could also be called the 2 note away major 9, will always be 1, 2, 3 frets back. Okay, let's go up to the last one. Ultra vase, la ultima vase, the last one. All right, let's go up to the top one. So this one obviously is going to be easy, because I could say, well, a 2 note away major second is right there, 2 notes away, which means it's going to be the same on the top, because the 2 strings have the same notes but different octaves. But let's count it out just to count it. And notice we always have to go above it here. If I went below it, which I can't really do right here, but then it would be well, I'll talk about that maybe in a second here. So let's count it out. We're going to say it's a 2 note away major second, or a 2 note away major 9. Inverse distance is 12 minus 2, or distance of 10. So I'm going to go, here's going to be 5, because this fault line shifted to the left. It's going to be out this way to 10. Then 15. 15 minus 12 is going to be -3, plus another 5 is going to be a -8. And then 8 plus another 5 is actually 13. And there's only 12 notes in the musical alphabet, so 13 minus 12 is -1, and then 0, and I could say 0, and then 1, 2. Did that work? I think that worked out. No, 0, 0, and then I could say I'm at 12, and then 11, 10. That's how it works. That's how it works. But obviously, when we're looking at it, I'm possibly going to say, well, if I'm on this string, it's like 2 note away is right there, and therefore, like, it's the same at the top. So if I went from this B to this A, which you don't do too often, but you could if you're doing some kind of bar chord or something, it would be a 2 note away. That would be a 10 note away, top to bottom, measuring from the B, 10 note away minor 7, bottom to top, therefore, would be a 2 note away major second, or 2 note away major 9, and therefore if I go up 5 strings, I would always cross the fault line unless I go around the top of the guitar, and therefore the 2 note away major second, which could also be called the 2 note away major 9, will always be 2 frets forward. Now notice, you could think, well, what is it possible to go below this A? Notice if I went below it, these 2 strings are the same, so the pattern repeats, but you have to take into account the 2 strings are the same. So if I think about around the top, like I'm at the bottom and I'm going to go wrap around the top again, one way to think about that is that this string is the same as this string, right? So if I'm on an A here, that's equivalent to being on the A at the top, which means if I measure from here, the 2 note away major second is going to be right there from that A. And if I think about this A being equivalent to this A, and I went below it, then the 2 note away major second would be down here as compared to that A, right? And if I go below it, just to get an idea of what happens when I go below it, which is what we normally do oftentimes, and I'm looking for a 2 note away major second or a 2 note away major 9, I don't need to take the inverse distance. I just take the distance of 2 and not 10, right? So I could just say there's a distance of 5 between those, 5, a distance of 5, 4, 3, 2. And there's that, so there's that distance, which would be 5, 4, 3, 2. And then the inverse of that would be a 10 note away minor 7. All right, that's the general idea. And I like to take the general idea because generals are good at strategizing stuff.